Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of July 28th through August 1st. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from July 21 through the 25th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Tsly. We ended the week at $7.75, up 2.92%. This is where we landed. To the north side takes us to 2 standard deviations and 1 level of resistance and a potential take profit area at roughly 798. This would just be retracing to an area we've been to before. Above that, 817, I sold Tsly at this level in the past, at this level also in the green, and at 4 standard deviations, that would take us to $8.36. To the south side takes us to 1 level of support and a potential buy-in area and a potential stop loss area. That would be 758. Below that, that would be, I want to do one thing, which is mark out the middle of the trend there. And that's very close to an area that I've already marked out from 756. And that was on Friday, July the 11th. Since it's so close, I will just delete it. But if we get to this level, which I know we will, this could bounce off of this line, and that is support, or we could chop sideways because right now we are still in a downward channel on the 5. You're going to get different buy and sell signals on different time frames. -2 standard deviations and another level of support, 719, also a potential stop loss area, and $7 and below that, which I don't think we will get to, that's 679, but if we do and we wick to this level, I will anticipate a bounce off of that. So I will anticipate a bounce off of this line, this line, this line, and even off of the gap. And this gap takes us down to 705. I will extend that. I have no idea when it's going to touch, but I think it could do that on Monday, right here. Now we have this tiny gap, which I shouldn't even bother to draw out, but I did. That will take us down to 757 roughly. This gap is still in play to 732. Oops. And this gap to the south side that I've already marked out at 771 did touch when we gapped down right here. And that took us to roughly 771 on July 23rd. I will delete that. Congrats if you went short and made some money there. And then there was this gap that I anticipated also, and that touched on the 22nd of July, taking us down to 787. So that gap is no longer in play. That was a gap to the south side, a short there. I sold some here, as I mentioned, for a 3% return. And what else? I think everything else looks pretty much tidied up. And we do have a gap that will take us to $8.70. Option R there to reset. But we are moving farther away from that on the 5. Oops. So I do not anticipate this will be hit for the week I'm talking about. Now, by the end of the week, if we continue to go down, because we are in a downward channel, let me show you some levels. So this is the end of the week, Friday. So the middle of the trend could be 689. We could touch that. 650, 631, and I don't think we'll get here, but I've just marked it out. I should really just delete -4 standard deviations. That's 611. And to the upside, we're talking 728, 748, and roughly 768. But I do anticipate some choppiness right around this level. That's too bad that Elon and Trump are no longer a team and a force to be reckoned with. I just went to the post office and I bought stamps, and they went up yet another $1. I would have loved it had Elon investigated the post office. I think that post office needs to be imploded and we start all over again. It's just horribly, horribly run. Year after year, they lose money. And it cracks me up that that Amazon does contract work for them too. And then I see them delivering on Sundays, the post office delivering on Sundays, which blows my mind that they have to work on Sundays. Anyway, I'm all about getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse, starting with the post office. All right, let's go to the next one. NEO. Option R. Oops, stay on page. Option R. Wait a minute. Oops, I keep hitting Command R, that's why. I thought we should have gotten rid of the post office when the post office was sponsoring Lance Armstrong. What are we using our money for to sponsor someone else? I mean, give the money back to the American taxpayers. Okay, I'm done. All right, 492 is where we ended at $1.86. To the north side, resistance, a potential sell limit area as well, 505. Back to an area that I've already marked in 2024, those yellow lines, 515 and 524 to the south side. And I'm not even political. I'm just a common sense person. 487 to the south side. So if we hit that line, I will anticipate anywhere along here a bounce to the north side. And then if we're down here and we go up there, that is resistance. All right, 469, 460, and roughly 451. Again, all the yellow horizontal lines are from 2024 that I marked out. I will one day delete it, but not right now. So what is happening with some of the gaps? So this one touched right there, taking us down to 502, and that touched on the 23rd. That's a delete. Get rid of that. So congrats if you went short there. From up here to down here, this is support, and we, whoops, fell through. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, it touched right there. Now I do anticipate bounces off of that, but we never did. We fell right through. The floor continued to fall through. Did not catch us. Okay, this gap to 452. I have no idea when it's going to hit, but potentially maybe the Tuesday. So I anticipate this will close. NEO is still going down. We've had some good runs with NEO. And then we have this gap to the south side, taking us to 441, and then other gaps here as well, taking us to 393. All right, and to the upside, where are the other gaps? Let me move this. That's my public service announcement. But where did we hit? Oh no, right here. And here and here. Oh wow. I really need to extend this, huh? All right. 446. Oh no, we hit it. Look at that. Remember when we were running? So there, that touched. Well, did it really fill? No, it didn't touch there. It touched right here on Friday, July 18th. It closed it out. It looked like it did right there, but it didn't. So that is done. Delete. So we hit 509 on Friday there. Delete, delete. Okay, that gap is done. And then we have this one. That's what happens. I never went back. Okay, and we touched right there, so that's done. That closed on Tuesday, July 22nd, took us to roughly 471. And that started here. All right, on Friday the 21st. So that's done. Delete. Congrats if you went long after a period of weakness. All right, so that's done. And then what else? So that's all done. So we've got a gap that will take us all the way to 516. And that started at 496. Let's move this. Oops, I'm missing a line here. There's a right there. No wonder it looks off. Okay, and was that? All right. Wow, look at that. That touched right there. Retraced to an area that I anticipated at 516, and that started out at roughly 496-ish. So let's go back. And that started on Thursday, March 20th. Wow, so that's done. Delete. Congrats if you had faith and went long. So do we have, oh gosh, I have another gap up here that will take us to 596, and did it. No, that's going to be the next target. Okay, fingers crossed, but right now we are retracing because we gapped up, and now we have to fill these gaps to the south side. Not all of them will get filled, but some of them most likely will. We are not done going to the south side. All right, next, Rivn. I'm going to go fast now on these. All right, we are at 1401. To the north side, resistance, 1434. You can anticipate to 2 standard deviations all day long, no matter what length you set it. But at 3, we may or may not hit 1458, and then I never expect it to hit at 4, but if we do, people will take their profits and they will run. That will be a wick to the north side and then a flush to the south side, 1483. And on the way down, this turns into support, and I anticipate a bounce off of that. The middle of the trend is right here, very close to an area I've marked out in 2024, this white line. We have to go back a long time. I'm not going to do that, but just know that I will delete it, right? Well, let's just go to the daily and I'll show you. At 1385, option R, 1385 right here. That is in September on the daily here. It was Monday, September the 16th of 2024 that I marked that out. That is nuts. See, look at all this. I've tracked this gap and go for roughly different ones, added, dropped off for 87 weeks. All right, so that one I'm going to delete right now since it's too close to an area that I've marked. So I don't need any of it except for the current one I'm tracking, which is this one. All the other stuff I can do without. But I will anticipate bounces off of that for support or resistance on the way up. 1335, 1311, oops, and roughly 1286, which I don't anticipate for Monday. Later on in the week, possibly. So later on in the week, the middle of the trend could lead us to 1354 and then down to 1305 to the upside. what would that be? Could end at 14. All right, we have this gap that's still in play to the south side, and this gap at 14.7, if you went long, closed right there roughly on Tuesday the 22nd. And that opened up on Thursday, June 12th, so congrats if you made some money there. Delete. So that looks good. And then we have a gap to 1564 and closing out at 1590. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. Just something to be aware of. And then another gap to the south side here. Okay, next one is Nike. Here are your price targets for Monday only. 77.80, 78.38, and I don't anticipate here, but if we get there, you know what's going to happen, 79.23. And we are at the middle of the trend, basically, and that is right here. So what should I get rid of? Let's get rid of, which one? Wow, whoops, option. Wow, this I marked out again in 2024. So let's just, option R, let's get rid of, let's get rid of this line because this white line is a price target that I drew out for Nike and we've already hit it. So let's get rid of this one, too close. Okay, so the middle of the trend is here. To the north side, 77.81. Let's see, did I already do that? Now I've got lost track. 78.55, I'll do it again. Yeah, I did. 79.26, I'm pretty sure. Okay, to the south side, 74.91, 74.22, and don't hold your breath for price to get to here. That's definitely a dip buy at 73.50. But we have other dip buys as well. This gap closed right here on the 24th, opened up on the 23rd, took us down to 75.47. Now I drew this one, had no idea when it was going to touch, and we did out of the gate on Monday, taking us to 74.44. So congrats. Oops. Delete, delete. Right, this gap is still in play. Not in the channel, not in the zone, but just something to be aware of. And then all the way down here for some other dip buys or dollar cost averaging if you're too high, and that's how you like to do it. Okay, this gap to 74.90. Oops. Let me do that again in case I messed up. Okay, there, and then we have, gosh darn it, this one as well. So when could this one hit? Well, safely, it could be in 2 weeks. But the outliers, it could hit this week if we wick. Oops, gosh darn it. Okay, I'm done with this one. And then we have all these gaps to retrace to. So watch out for that. Okay, and then the next one is Boeing. Option R to reset. Okay, very quickly. Middle of the trend is now here. 233.79, 237, 238.68, and 240.23-ish. This is resistance, and we could chop sideways. To the south side, 230.46. Those purple lines I've already talked about. 228.78, they'll act as support. 227.11. Let's talk about this gap still in play to the downside. 218.71. This gap touched right here on Tuesday, taking us down to 226.81. And then this gap, did it touch? No, still in play to the south side. 228.56. All right, then we have gaps up here that are not going to hit this upcoming week, but taking us to 248.99. And I think I've cleaned pretty much everything. All right, and then Sofi. Let's go very quickly. $21.20. Resistance. $21.56. This is back to an area we've been. $21.95. Don't expect price to hit this level, $22.50, nor this level, $22.35. Definitely it will hit $21.16, $20.95, and $20.76. I don't know, but that is a pullback and a potential buy area. Buy, potentially. Look at the RSI as well. This is a potential sell, sell, sell. Okay, look at that wick. That wick took us up and then flushed us right back down. This acted as resistance. This gap closed to the downside at 20.98 roughly. And look at that, flushed all the way down here. This is your buy, and then it fell down even more. Okay, so this one is still in play to 1926. And this gap looks like it filled, but it didn't. So that is still in play to the upside at 22.60, closing out at roughly 22.80 for the week. And conservatively, touching the middle of the trend could be at the end of the week on Friday. So the outliers for the end of the week could be 23.07 to 21.45. And is that might be the last one, but I'll check that later. And my last one for today is Intel, option R. The ticker tanked after the earnings report. Intel posted an adjusted loss of 10 cents a share compared with analysts' expectations for profit of 1 cent. And they still made $12.86 billion. The estimate word on the street was $11.98 billion. They got a new CEO. He slashed jobs, 15% of the workforce. He is doing what he needs to do, trim the fat, and he's not spending money when there are no orders. He's waiting for orders, apparently, to come in and then expand. But he's doing the right things. But right now he's getting slammed down with the ticker because of earnings, but don't count them out. I do own Intel for myself and for my mom. All right, where are we? We are at 2070, down 8.53%. It's been down even worse, but remember when we were grinding in the $18 range? Yeah, that took forever to get out of that range. Okay, this is where we are, 2079, and I'm going to delete that yellow line here at 2075. You can go back to my other videos and see where I marked that out in 2024. But we're just grinding in the same areas. We just haven't either exploded to the upside. Well, we've got some things to hit to the downside for a gap, I think, but I'll look at that later. Or maybe we're done with gaps. I don't know. We could be done. Let's see here. I'm going to delete this yellow line like I mentioned. get rid of that. Wait, did I just do that? Yeah. Command C to undo. Okay, so get rid of that. Now, okay, that's the middle. What did I say here? 2209, 2274, 2340. Okay, support 1952, support 1884, and don't hold your breath 1821. So we have a gap still in play to the upside because that flushed down. So whenever we reverse course, that will take us to 2105. And here closing out at 2260. And then we have a gap all the way up to 29 bucks there, 29 something. Oh, 28.87. All right, that is, oh, we have this tiny little gap that closed when we flushed on earnings, when we flushed to the south side. That took us to 2204, delete. Okay, and then this one touched right. Did that touch there? I'm going to do it right here. I think that's the safer one. 2281 to the south side. Congrats if you went short when we were higher up than this area at price. That took us down to 2321. And did this one touch? No. This is a carry through, and that's also in play to 2377. Yeah, and that opened up on Friday the 11th. Okay, and then this one closed right there on the 15th of July, taking us to 2342. And oh, all these gaps closed. Look at that, closed when we flushed. See, that's the thing. I knew this was an anticipated move because these gaps just draw us back to the south side. They have to be closed. So I know it's painful, but it is actually a good thing because it haunts us. So 2133 is done. 2122 is done, no longer a threat to our account to the south side. Obviously, there are other threats, just not that one. And then this one, ooh, this is going to be the next one to the south side. Right there, 2013, and then we have 1903, yikes, and that closes at 1888. So there are some opportunities to dollar cost average either down or buy in for the first time for yourselves. All right, that does it for me. That is a look at the gap and go trades for the week of July 28th through August 1st. Now, very quickly, I want to go over this. Thank you so much for your support. We need to drain the swamp, get rid of this lady who's been on the board for 26 years. They raised our dues. This is one of my rentals, 3 years in a row. They did not follow the state law and did not have a required meeting when they were required to. They've missed all kinds of things that I've caught them on, that I've reported them to them. And the only way to get back at your board is either to get on the board or to vote them out. So please, if you own a property in Desert Creek, please vote for anyone but Dean White and Donna Turberg, whose husband also had to remove himself for conflict of interest. Why do they think husband and wives can be on the board at the same time when there's a quorum, when we don't need you? It's just terrible, terrible leadership, in my opinion. And I'm entitled to my opinion. All right, that does it for me. Have a great trading week.